Greetings, friends. One of my coworkers mentioned to me that he was reading into this subject of the gas prices being manipulated and how people are unhappy with the current, inflated gas prices. And he was saying that to some extent the markets have always been manipulated when it comes to the price of fuel, and they're just like playing us and scamming us, basically. And I think that's true, but I think it points to a larger question, which is that the automobile itself was always involved with social engineering. From the beginning, it wasn't a coincidence that we went from transit systems of like trolley cars to the automobile within like 20 years in the early 20th century. So Henry Ford, just like Elon Musk today, they don't get to where they are without significant help from the state, from the government, working together with these giant corporations, which really in the end meld and become the same organism. The car went along with highways. We saw this with Robert Moses, the famous infrastructure planner, famous or infamous, known for his massive expressways in New York and New Jersey and around probably other parts of the United States too, and in cooperation with killing train lines, killing that old technology and replacing it with a different technology, which was buses and the automobile. The buses were really thrown into the contract, so to speak, to replace these trolley companies. The car and Americans' adoption of it was different from how things went in Europe, where the urban area was much older, more established, a different pattern of living, a more organic form of living. In America and Canada and other parts of the Anglo world, which were more recently settled, the suburban model of development went hand in hand with the automobile, and this new consumer lifestyle took hold as it had never taken hold before. And there were many good things about the car. I'm not saying the car is a bad thing at all. There are many, many good things about it, but we can see how this technology was developed with certain telos in mind, certain goals in mind by the elites, the corporations working with them that developed these things. Now, today we see these patios in Toronto, these fake patios that are on the street with concrete blockers and pylons and fencing to keep cars away from them, even though they're occupying some of the road. These were brought in during the so-called pandemic as a way to allow restaurants to have some extra seating when they couldn't have people indoors. But now they have stuck around. Many of these incursions upon the road have stuck around, and they're still here, and they don't seem to be going anywhere. And some people like them. I mean, I wouldn't want to sit out so close to traffic. It doesn't seem very comfortable at all. But I know people who drive in the city, and as difficult as it is to drive in the city, this is kind of like perhaps the final straw, because it's just so egregious, and they perceive that this is a war against motorists. And indeed, they're not wrong. There now is a war against motorists, and the new model is the smart city, where the elites will be allowed to drive, just like the elite class. If you're rich enough to have a private jet, you don't have to wear a mask. Your pilots won't be wearing masks. The common people, even the common people in the managerial class, you have to go along, and you have to wear your mask. And you have to go along and live in the smart city. And now maybe you won't be able to drive anymore. You'll have to live in a smaller place. You may not be able to have any kids, and maybe you shouldn't have any kids. Maybe you should just be gay. And this is going to go along with cutting down on motorists. They don't want you to practice agriculture. They don't even want you to have a garden. They want you fully controlled. So we can see how the car is a means to freedom, to escape the beast system to an extent. Yet the beast system used the car. So there's always two sides to the coin. It's interesting how this question of technology and how technology becomes an extension of man, and then if we don't exercise caution, we become enslaved by the very technology, and the elites are just playing that off of us. We bought into their system, and now this is the world we live in. Hasta luego, amigos.